Yo, what's up? It's Marwin, Food Fidelity. Excited about this dish I'm going to be making today. It's a Hungarian goulash, or my interpretation of a goulash. Goulash has its origins in Hungary, but there are so many different versions of it depending on where you are in the world. If you go to places like Croatia, different cities in Germany, you're going to see different versions of it. So the ingredients change a little bit, but there are a couple of fundamental ingredients that are essential. Paprika and beef. This is at its core a beef stew, not to be confused with the Americanized version that includes like macaroni, noodles, and things like that. That's more of kind of a pasta dish. But I'm gonna add my own spin to it, blending in fusions of other cultures like I typically do from the Caribbean, the deep south here in the US. But again, at its core, this is kind of a Hungarian beef stew with some liberties taken to reflect just my region and my cultural background. All right, so let's get to cooking. So yeah, if you're looking for like traditional Hungarian goulash, this is not that dish. Again, I'm taking some. It's influenced by that, but it's not. I don't stick to the ingredients. And my understanding is, having seen a lot of different recipes in different parts of the country during my travel, or different parts of the world, I've seen so many different versions of it. It's hard for me to kind of keep up with what's traditional and what's not. I do know that beef and paprika are like kind of core, and paprika is one of my favorite, probably my all-time favorite spice to cook with. So I'm happy to make this dish, and I hope you like my version of it. Yeah. So I got some beef chuck that I'm going to be using to make the dish. I like to choose, high quality chuck, a lot of nice marbling. I'm going to trim the marbling off and use that fat I'm going to use the fat and render it and use that oil to, I'm going to infuse that rendered fat with some paprika to give it even more flavor to the dish. The way I cook, I like to season at every step. That includes seasoning the beef up front with the same spices that I'm going to be flavoring the stew with. So I got a mix of paprika, salt and pepper, garlic, as well as some marjoram. That's like what I'm going to use. Later I'll add some caraway seed, but not at this step. So I'm just going to give that a good mix. And like I said, I like to plan ahead, so I season these ahead of time and let them kind of have, kind of a dry marinade thing kind of going on here. And then once I've gotten them nicely coated, my next step is I'm going to add a little bit of flour to the dish, or to the meat. The thing that flour will do, one, when I brown the beef, it's going to help give it that nice crust on the outside. But more importantly, when I cook it, and we're going to cook this at a low and slow simmer, the flour on the beef is what's going to be a thickening agent. Like, you can adjust your goulash, up or down depending on how the consistency you like. I like mine more on the stewed thicker side, but if you like yours on the lighter, thinner side, you can always add more liquid later. But for now, we're going to add the flour. And you don't have to get these perfect. You just want to make sure that you got flour touching pretty much all the different pieces. You don't need a lot. A little goes a long way in this dish. Like I said, we're not striving for perfect. We just want to make sure that we got enough. Right? See, I'm not that heavy-handed with the flour. And that's pretty much it for me. So these are ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and start the cooking process. I spent a lot of time in Caribbean kitchens in my travels, and also in my house. The idea of creating a flavor base seasoning for dishes, especially if we're going to do long stew dishes. So if you think about the idea of a Puerto Rican sofrito, a Haitian epis, a Trinidad green seasoning, where they take ingredients like garlic and green onions and fresh herbs, salt and pepper, peppers, and blend them together and use that to season like stews and other dishes. I'm gonna take a similar approach today, even though, like I said, if you're in like traditional Hungarian stew or goulash, they don't use a flavor seasoning base, but a lot of those flavors or the ingredients I'm talking about, you find them in certain dishes. And so I'm gonna add that element just to add another, elevate the flavor in this dish. It doesn't change it dramatically, but it definitely gives it a very unique flavor profile. So to start, I'm gonna take some celery. Again, if you think about traditional stews, a lot of people season, saute with celery. This is gonna be heavy on the garlic, which I think is kind of traditional. So I'm gonna add about 6 cloves of garlic to this. I mentioned the peppers, like bell peppers. I know in Hungary they have different types of peppers, but I got a bunch of different colored peppers here that I'm going to use. Cubanelli are good peppers to use. I didn't have it on hand, but I got these different colored peppers. I also have some green onions that I'm going to use. And I'm going to add some olive oil as my liquid to really mix these down. And normally I would add like some salt and pepper, but like I said, we're going to flavor in every dish. I'm going to add some more of my seasoning mix, which is that paprika, marjoram, salt and pepper. Right. I got some fresh thyme. I go without the stems, but hey, they're gonna all end up in the same place, just chopped up and grounded. I just try to keep the wood out, so you don't need a lot of time, but this is gonna add a whole lot to the dish from a flavoring standpoint. And I like to make the stuff, this is part of my meal prep. I'll make this ahead of time and then just kind of save this for other dishes. But today, I almost forgot one of my favorite parts, which I'm going to use the tomatoes from San Marzano tomatoes. Those are my favorite tomatoes to use in cooking. They have a lot of great flavor in them. I'm also going to use that as part of the liquid base to help, blend this up nice and smooth. I am going to add some tomatoes, but I need to make a little more room before I do that. And here we go. All right, I think I got a little wiggle room now. I can open this up. Yep, I got plenty of room. I'm gonna add some more tomatoes. And a little bit more parsley. It's gonna taste delicious. Some more green onions. All right, I don't think I can add anything else in there. That's it. Probably gonna make a mess, but whatever. It's gotta taste delicious though, trust me. Trust me. Clean up my mess a little bit. See what we're working with. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Ooh, my. Yeah. That's what's up. I'm gonna put that to the side. Now the fun starts. Gonna start to render the fat from the beef. Let this cook for about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. However long it takes to start that is rendered pretty well. I'm going to take it off and then replace it with more, start browning the beef. good amount of fat in there, but I need a little more. So depending on how much meat you have to cook and how big your pot is, you might want to do this in batches. I'm going to brown this on all sides, get a nice little caramelization, nice sear on the outside, lock in that flavor, and we're building great things here. Give it a nice flip. Put the other side. I can smell it. It smells great. Can't wait. But I got hours. Damn! This is the last of it. I'm gonna pull that out, leaving all that good rich fat behind. I got my paprika. You want to turn the fire down, turn the heat down, because you don't want to burn the paprika. It gives like a really bitter, kind of off-putting taste to it if you cook it too high. So I'm gonna let the fire come down a little bit before I add paprika. But in the meantime, I'm gonna start with some of my my aromatics. I got some onions. So we're gonna have onion and eventually paprika that's gonna cook in this fat. And I'm going heavy on the paprika. After all, this is like the main ingredient in the dish. I'm gonna let the onions absorb some of that paprika along with the fat. There's just gonna be so much flavor in there. So if you feel like you don't have enough fat, you can add some back to it. I got my lard. Gonna add a little more fat. And so, like the greatness about adding the paprika is like the color you get. I'm a big fan of, you know, you eat with your eyes, your mouth, your nose, and your ears. All your senses should be touched when you cook. You should hear that crackling sound, smell the aroma, see the color, and then taste and feel that explosion of flavors when you hit with it. Now I can add my garlic, my other aromatic, continue to like layer in flavors. And don't worry about the brown bits at the bottom of the pan. We'll take care of that later. There's flavor in that too, if you didn't know. I tend to add my caraway seeds early in the process because I want some of the heat to help, you know, you're basically kind of toasting the spice a little bit, the seeds, to get some of that flavor out early. So you don't have to cook them on high. You know, again, we want to protect the paprika at all costs to avoid that bitter taste, but the simple heat will release some of the flavors in the spice seeds. Yeah, that's coming together real nice. I'm gonna add some of my seasoning mix, just a little bit. Some of that salt and pepper in there. Two, if you didn't know. I tend to add my caraway seeds early in the process because I want some of the heat to help. You know, you're basically kind of toasting the spice a little bit, the seeds, to get some of that flavor out early. So you don't have to cook them on high. You know, again, we want to protect the paprika at all costs to avoid that bitter taste, but the simple heat will release some of the flavors in the spice seeds. Yeah, that's coming together real nice. I'm gonna add some of my seasoning mix, just a little bit. Some of that salt and pepper in there. Add some bay leaves. And this is that part where, like, where you want to start to add your beef back to the mix. So I got my beef. I'm going to add in. And I'm going to mix that in. Absorb some of that. Yeah, I said this was beef stew, right? Like heavy on the beef, heavy on the beef, heavy on the beef. So that paprika with the fat, it's almost like a gravy. And again, add to the flavor, but also add to the texture and the consistency of the stew. Now I'm ready to add my stock. So you want about 5 cups of beef stock. If you want, you can mix, you know, water and beef stock together. And then, you know, after you've added the beef stock, you can scrape up those brown bits that are at the bottom of the pan and add even more flavor. I'm gonna add some more spices. And now you can increase your temperature, bring it to a boil. Then once it begins to boil, you can reduce things down to a simmer. Once you start the simmering process, I allow mine to cook, simmer for about 2 to 3 hours, depending on like how I cut my beef. And you know, you just want to be really kind of deferring to the tenderness of the beef chunks that you've included. And then once they've done cooking, I can start to add my vegetables that I'm going to include, and we'll talk about those in a second here. All right. Get a little stir. So it's cooked down. It's got a lot of flavor. So I'm going to add about a cup of my little Epi's mix. Most goulash dishes use like potatoes, like a russet potato or Yukon. You know, we're partial to sweet potatoes in my house, so I'm going with sweet potatoes. I also have some chayote, which is more of a Mexico or some place in the Caribbean. It's a squash, but it's more of a hard squash. So those are going to be the 2 starches that I go with. And what the heck, I figure I'll add some bell peppers. Probably should have added those earlier, but what the heck. This is how we're doing it. And depending on how much like fat you have in your pot, you may need to skim off some fat. You know, especially given the amount of lard that we use. But if not, you should be fine. So now that I've added my vegetables, this is really the last of it. You can add some more seasoning if you want, but I'll taste it later to see if I need to add anything else. And I'm gonna let this cook for probably about another 30, 45 minutes or so, and then we'll see what it's all about and do what it do. Stay tuned. Right, let's give it a look. smells great. Oh, you can smell the herbs, the peppers, the paprika, and then those sweet potatoes are in there as well. And then obviously you got the beefy broth and the beefy flavor with all the beef that's in there. But let's take a look. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's my chayote, my sweet potatoes. It's a little hot. I would give you the tender test, but yeah, this is flavorful stuff. Yep, this is gonna be some good eats. I got the right consistency I was looking for. Still a little thick. It's almost kind of great, you know, kind of a thin gravy kind of consistency. If you want it thicker, you can just you can make a slurry with cornstarch and water. Not a whole lot of cornstarch, maybe like a teaspoon or two, with a little bit of water, and just mix it up and then add it to the pot. Or you can take some of the squash or some of the sweet potatoes and mash them up, you know, just on the side of the pot. And then that'll kind of help thicken, just like that. Oh, be careful though. You don't want that to happen. Take your eye out. Yeah, but that's it. You got delicious goulash, or my twist on the goulash. Give it a little taste test. I think you're definitely gonna love this dish. It's got a lot of things going on flavor-wise that all like work together. The sweetness of the sweet potatoes marry well with the peppers. The smokiness from the paprika. God, it's got this unbelievable taste to it, and it's just comforting. Goes well with the beef and the potatoes and the squash. The added touch of the seasoning base, you can really get that. It comes off in the aroma, but also like as you eat it, you get a little bit of a really fun kind of mouth experience. I think you're gonna like this dish. Check it out. If you make it, let me know what you think. Give me a like, a thumbs up. Most importantly, don't forget to hit the red subscribe button, and I'll see you next week. Peace.